Hey everybody, welcome back to another Pickle Madness review. Today we're going to be taking a look at two paddles from Pickleball Apes, and I'm going to be comparing these two paddles and explaining what kind of players might enjoy using each one. Before we get into comparisons, I just want to talk about what makes both of these paddles unique from a lot of other paddles on the market right now. First of all, this is the Pro Line series with the original Pro Line Energy paddle and the Pro Line Energy S. Now, the first thing you'll notice about these paddles is on the face. The face is made out of woven carbon fiber and Kevlar. So we see a lot of paddles now. So obviously most paddles these days have a raw carbon fiber face. There's been some more recent ones such as the 6-Euro Ruby, which are entirely Kevlar on the surface. And these Pickleball Apes paddles, the Pro Line Energy and Pro Line Energy S, have a combination of the two. Another difference between these paddles and most other paddles on the market, and this is a small difference, is the core is 16.5 millimeters thick. Now usually paddles will be 14 or 16 millimeters thick, but they brought it up half a millimeter, which is gonna make it slightly softer than it would have been had it have just been a standard 16 millimeter. So to start off, the major differences between the Pro Line Energy and the Pro Line Energy S, I want to talk about the handle length. You can see here, there's quite a big difference in the length of handles. It's actually 3/4 of an inch. The Pro Line Energy, the one here with the white handle, is 3/4 of an inch longer in the handle than the Pro Line Energy S. So if you're somebody who really relies on the two-handed backhand when you're playing, or if you're a tennis player and you want something that feels as similar as possible to a tennis racket, the original Pro Line Energy is going to be a great option because of that. The longer length and narrower body means that the sweet spot is going to be a bit higher up. So again, if you're used to reaching with a tennis racket, this is going to feel a little more familiar when you're playing on the pickleball court. Both of these paddles have the sort of hybrid shape with the round top, though they don't flare out like the 6-Euro paddles do. They're much more narrow at the neck and kind of stay in line as they go up the body. It's a lot easier to get two hands for a double-handed backhand, even on the Pro Line Energy S, even though it's 3/4 of an inch shorter in the handle at 5.5 inches. So when it comes to the basic metrics when we're talking about paddles in terms of power, control, spin, pop, and such, these paddles are really not too different from each other. The main differences, as we just talked about, are going to be in the handle length, the overall length, and the width. Even the swing weight between these two paddles is nearly identical. The Pickleball Apes website has the Pro Line Energy as a swing weight of 120 and the Pro Line Energy S as a swing weight of between 118 and 120. So even there's really not much difference. So if you're picking and choosing between these two paddles, you really want to base your decision based off of the handle length and just overall shape. Now, speaking of power, control, spin, pop, etc. These paddles have a pretty decent power, but they're gonna fall somewhere in between your standard thermoformed, fully carbon fiber face paddle and something that is fully Kevlar, which makes sense because it's kind of a half and half situation. Kevlar is gonna be a bit more forgiving and a little more absorbent when the ball hits. And that's exactly why Kevlar is often used in things like bulletproof vests or helmets, where they're trying to absorb as much energy and disperse it as much as possible. So actually, if you're somebody who struggles with elbow pain or wrist pain caused by too much vibration, so you don't want to go fully Kevlar, then the Pro Line Energy series from Pickleball Apes might be a good choice. For control, these paddles are also pretty decent. Now again, keep in mind that both of these paddles in the Pro Line Energy series, both of these are really all-court paddles, so neither of them are meant specifically for power. Neither of them are meant specifically for control, which is a good thing. It means you don't have to sacrifice either power or control to gain control or power. So you'll find if you end up using either of these paddles that you got a good time hitting drives, you're gonna have to maybe work a tiny bit harder for like putaways and stuff because of that Kevlar component. But really, it's got a very solid balance of power and control in both of these paddles. And for spin and pop, again, I'm not gonna spend a ton of time talking about either of these because it's really pretty standard in terms of what we're looking at now now for most even carbon fiber thermoform paddles. So these live up to the standards. They don't excel past anything. This is not gonna be the paddle with the most spin that you ever use. It's not gonna be the poppiest paddle you ever use. It's gonna do both those things very well, and you really aren't gonna have to worry about a lack of any important metric in terms of pickleball paddles. That's why I keep emphasizing the handle length and the shapes of these paddles, because really I think that the key difference between something like the original Proline Energy and other paddles on the market these days is the handle length. At 6.25 inches, that's really as long as they get. And believe it or not, when playing with this paddle, you probably are not gonna feel like you're missing too much on the sides, because we're really just aiming for the middle anyway. And a lot of times it seems that when people miss shots, it's because the paddle was not long enough, not that it wasn't wide enough. And for a paddle that is as narrow as 7 inches, the sweet spot is pretty solid. And again, it's not exceptional, but you don't feel like you're losing out on anything either. So if that long handle is really important to you and it feels really good, that's probably the top point to consider. The last big thing to talk about with these paddles is the price. Now, the original Proline Energy, which came out first, is priced at $150, whereas the Proline Energy S is priced at $170. However, it has been marked down for a while to $152. So these paddles are basically the same price, $150 and $152. And this is a really competitive price range, especially for the quality of these paddles. Considering that many of the top rated paddles these days are 180, 200 plus, 150 is a really, really good price for paddles of this caliber. All right, guys, thank you for watching another Pickle Madness review, this time of the Proline Energy series from Pickleball Apes. As always, if you'd like to purchase either of these paddles, you can check the link in the description below. And we have a 10% off code in the description below as well, which would bring either of these paddles to about $135. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.